I'm epileptic. Once during a school assembly, I had a seizure. It was pretty bad too. When I woke up, the first people I saw were my English teacher, and she was smiling and telling me it would be okay, and my health teacher, who was apparently the first person to run and get me help. I was in a super emotional state after the seizure, and I began to cry and say I'm sorry. I was hushed by my teacher and helped down the bleachers by them. My health teacher, my English teacher, my choir director and the school counselor all stayed by me until I got into the ambulance. My literature teacher also ended up sending me a very nice video of her and all of her family wishing me well. Another seizure I had, I was at a con, standing in line to get David Tennant's autograph. I was so excited that I had a seizure, and after I woke up I was wheeled back behind a curtain that was behind the booth. A moment later, David Tennant's agent came up to me and asked me what color pen I wanted. I was confused, but I said black. After he said that, he explained that David wanted to come back and make sure I was okay, which he did. The first thing he said to me was, "What are you doing falling down on me?" And he walked over and we had a full conversation. He asked my name and autographed the book I had brought for him too. I got a picture, a conversation and an autograph from David Tennant. And this was big. I am a huge fangirl for him. All he wanted was to make sure I was okay. This is my favorite. I love David Tennant and really hoped he was as cool as he seems. I was selling my bike when I was 18 for $1.30. Got a hit and set up a location. Ended up being greeted by two kids on a single bike, one on the pegs, and the kid with the bike bought his friend my bike so they could ride together. Now that is a bro right there. Love hearing stuff like this. Thanks for sharing. In 6th grade, it was 2 stops away from my stop. A man was just laying on the sidewalk. Our bus was stopped for a long time. I noticed the bus driver wasn't on the bus and I looked outside and the guy was just laying there. Our bus driver is Ali niece, so her being the niece lady she rushes out of the bus, check his pulse and calls an ambulance. The bad part was some people on my bus were talking shite saying, "I bet he overdosed on something," and almost after that my mom comes to pick me up. Turns out the next day our bus driver said, "The man from yesterday didn't overdose. He went into diabetic shock." Or I think that's what she said, but she basically saved someone. That's awesome she did that. But you know, it doesn't matter if it was diabetic shock or an overdose, they still needed help and she did it. I was breaking down in the middle of the street and sitting on the sidewalk. A stranger girl came and patted on my shoulders, kept talking about random stuff, trying to make me laugh and calm, and she managed to do so. It was the most wholesome thing that ever happened to me. I secretly paid a college debt of about $400 for a waitress so she could register for the next semester. She was over the moon. I worked at Apple and had a guy who would come in that was homeless. He called to get a job because he had no phone and no home. He eventually got a halfway home and a bunch of us got together and got him a cheap phone and a SIM card, paid for 6 months. He eventually got a job and isn't he homeless now? Found $900 in a grocery store parking lot and decided to bring it into the store. It belonged to an elderly woman and it turns out that was all the money she had for the entire month. She was shocked and so grateful. Random dude saw another random dude freezing at the bus stop. Took off his motherfucking North Face jacket and just straight up gave it to the other dude and proceeded to disappear in the dark. Kind of late, but I went to Mexico for my family vacation a year ago. There was a homeless woman who was very skinny and it was obviously because she called to eat. Us is worth a lot in pesos. So I reached in my pocket and gave her my $200. My son gave her his $30. Pesos. She cried and I invited her to eat with my family. She was and still is our family friend, and we even bought her a plane ticket to the US. I kind of hate to tell this story as it is about me, but hopefully it'll build awareness. I heard about a guy near my home that was in need of a kidney transplant, and even though I had no idea who he was at first, I donated to him. It is one of the easiest decisions I've ever made, and now he can get on with being a dad to 4 young children. It is not for everyone, but if you can donate, please do. This happened a couple years ago. I was stuck in traffic, and next to me a car bumped into the car in front, which bumped into the car in front, creating a free car sandwich. The first bumper was a 18-year-old woman who started crying uncontrollably. One of the people who got hit got out, and comforted her, and was helping her as I drove away. This last stopped to help the person who hit her car. Kindest thing I've ever seen. Most recent thing I can think of, I pulled into Kindest drive-thru to pay for my order and the car before me had paid for me, no questions asked and didn't even meet him. So I had to pass along the kindness, I paid for the order for the car after me. Strangers being these two others.